guys. Back here with the Crash Out podcast. Here I'm crashing out with Grayson.
Hi, I'm Grayson.
And here with Jaren.
Hello.
So this week there's been a lot of news to crash out about. Recently the Trump administration has been going brazy with, transgender bans in the army and in bathrooms. The Super Bowl is today. We're going to be watching that later, of course. There's always a lot of controversy that comes out of the Super Bowl.
Freak the Chiefs.
And most prominently within the last week, in like pop culture at least, I've been seeing a lot of crashing out about the Grammys. And that crashing out, of course, has been, making me crash out by proxy because, in my opinion...
A lot of crashing out.
Because, in my opinion, this Grammys has been, like, the best, and I don't really see... what there is to complain about with this Grammys. Like, the artists that should be getting awarded are being awarded. Art is, like, actually being recognized. It's not all about streams and popularity for once. And that's what I've been seeing a lot of people have been, like, rage baiting about on the internet. Have you guys been seeing anything like that?
Yeah, I think, okay, I haven't seen a lot of it, but I will say, like, there's some people on the internet, they can just never be pleased. Like, some things will just never be enough for them, so I'm sure a good amount of it is on them.
Yeah. So a lot of the complaints I've been seeing have been about Album of the Year. A lot of the other categories, everybody's been like content with the winners of, like Song of the Year, Record of the Year, Pop Vocal Album, Best Rap Album. Everybody's been like fairly content with those because like there was like actual heart behind the picks, and I find that to be the same with Album of the Year. But it's been like a lot of fans of Billie Eilish in particular that have been like really like militant about how Beyonce shouldn't have won over Billie Eilish's "Hit Me Hard and Soft," which was a good album. I would have been completely fine if that had won Album of the Year. It's just like I don't really see why you should like immediately discredit Beyonce.
Exactly, yeah. Has she ever won Album of the Year?
She has never won Album of the Year.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's Beyonce.
That album won Country Album of the
It
Year?
also won Best Country Album.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of like country, fans and musicians have been like rage baiting about it too, because like it's not like real country music and whatever, and like I just hate that like any like genre defining music is like immediately like cast aside.
I feel like... See, I feel like the whole rage baiting thing about, like, from the country fans has, like, to do with two things. One, she is normally... I don't even listen to Beyonce like that, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but she's normally, like, an R&B, like, rap artist?
I'd say, like, more R&B and pop, more or less, yeah.
And, like, she's more alongside that genre, usually. And two, she is a black woman.
Yeah.
And people... they like, I don't know. They're just getting upset about things that they say they aren't getting upset about, but that's what they're really upset about.
You see, one of the biggest complaints I've been hearing about that Best Country Album win on Beyonce's part was like a lot of like it's so weird. Like a lot of like white country fans are saying that like Beyonce making a country album and winning it is get this. Cultural appropriation, founded and like created by like black musicians. Like
wow,
it just makes me mad. But like,
then what is Eminem?
Because like
precisely
because like of course there's that. Like that's sort of just like blatant racism. I would always expect that. But like it's when it's like these Billie Eilish fans, as we were talking about originally, that are like trying to just discredit Beyonce's work and like say that like Billie Eilish should have won because Billie Eilish's album was more popular and got more streams, and it's just ridiculous in my opinion. As we had been talking about earlier, like if you're going to like award an album for streams, I don't really see how you're like awarding art there. I mean, you're just awarding like radio play. You're just and like connections in the industry.
You're just baiting into capitalism at that point.
That's fair too. If we were really going off streams here, like I feel like Taylor Swift would win or should have won this year.
Please not again.
As Taylor Swift was
God,
every
every
Grammy.
No.
Some of the best music is underground like, you know, non-mainstream and like isn't played on the radio.
See, growing up, like I always thought that like music was just dead. All the stuff I was hearing in like, middle school was all the worst that the mid 20 teens had to offer. It was all the I don't know, Post Malone was like prominent back then, but like it was all like that, the super like trashy, like popular stuff. It was all Taylor Swift. It was all stuff that I was just hearing too much of, and I just thought that's all music was at the time. But past couple of years, I've been getting into more underground indie stuff. You know, there's a lot of even local like punk post-hardcore bands that I've gotten into recently. Music is still very much alive, and it is not what's popular that's what's good.
Yeah, that entire idea that the 2010s was like a very mediocre decade for music, I just find a crazy statement because, in my opinion, some of the best albums of all time came out of the 2010s. Like Currents, Tame Impala, Lonerism,
Good-
The Butterfly,
Good Kid, Mad City.
Good Kid, Mad City, Blonde by Frank Ocean. Some of like the most critically acclaimed albums, you know, like the past century. Like honestly, in my opinion, it's always been the 2010s and the 90s. That's like my number 1 and 2. Probably like the 80s would be like next.
Yeah.
Everybody asks me about the 2000s, but like, I hate 2000s music.
Really?
Dang, dude.
Yes.
What about the nostalgia?
Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. What else are we still listening to from the 2000s besides Kanye West and Radiohead?
Linkin Park.
Let me think.
Are we still really listening to Linkin Park?
I listen to him sometimes.
I would like to put this in there. Pitbull.
I've never been in the Pitbull.
Okay. Sometimes when you're on a road trip, you know, you just need some Pitbull.
I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. Me and my family last year, we went on a road trip to California, and she listens to literally just entirely 2000s pop music. Not a single Pitbull song was listened to. during
Dude,
that
what?
trip.
That's like classic club hits.
Nah, bro.
I guess that's my thing. I've never been into club music. And that's just my introvert speaking, I guess. I've just never been able to get on board with the like hyping up the crowd. I don't want to be in the crowd. I want to be alone.
You see, I like club music. It just depends on like, you know, how it's done, like the production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Because Charlie XCX, was that one of the, no, that was not one of the new artists. Anyways, they had some stuff up for the Grammys. I like club music, but sometimes it seems like I wouldn't listen to it just by myself. Sometimes it just needs to be played at the club, you know? Like, if it doesn't really have a lot of lyrics or stuff, I'm like, you know, I'd rather just listen to it at the club.
I am going to give some pushback, though, because Charlie XCX does have good art, in my opinion. Her album, Crash.
Yeah.
And
I
Breath.
won't
I've been
say
trying
that
to
it's
get
not
into
good
that.
art, yeah.
But yeah, no, a lot of club music, like, is anybody really listening to, like, you know, like Gucci Mane or like fucking like, is anybody listening to fucking Flo Rida outside of the club?
Okay, I want to hit with a bit of a curveball here. Comba Christ. Has anybody ever heard of Comba Christ?
No.
That's both very 2000s and some of it's club. It's very edgy techno. It's like techno metal kind of. I got introduced through it that one Devil May Cry remake attempt from a few years back. Not that great of a game, but really good soundtrack. I like Comba Christ. I recommend.
Yeah. It's just really aggravating to connect this back to the Grammys because, you know, some of this good art that we've been talking about, especially from the 90s and the 2010s, hadn't been awarded in the slightest.
Yeah.
Like, I can give you guys some examples of artists that had never been nominated for a Grammy, and you guys would probably be amazed. Tupac had never been nominated for a Grammy.
How old is the Grammys, by the way?
The Grammys, I think it was 68.
Okay, well, obviously this year was like a transition. They did pretty good this year, but, you know, from what I've heard, they didn't do too hot with the African-American artists.
Yeah, they have a vendetta almost against black art, which is also like an entirely different topic unto its own. They had this entirely like, you know, arbitrary genre at their disposal called the best urban music genre.
I wonder what
Interesting.
group of people they could be referring to.
It's like they're trying to put all black music into a hot pot, basically.
Yes, like, and like, you want to know who like really they were referring to by that genre of music? literally they were just talking about like Tyler the Creator and like Childish Gambino and Frank Ocean. Like
Very interesting.
it's literally just like gay or like queer adjacent black art.
See, it's kind of like when people refer to it as an urban accent or like an Atlanta accent. Just say black accent. Just say a black like African American accent. Like you're not making yourself sound any better by saying like urban or Atlanta. Atlanta. I don't know. It has similar vibes to that.
Yeah. But yeah, like especially with like the black art thing, they have a track record of nominating like, very genre defying albums to like, very black dominated genres. Like in 2019, I know I'd been talking about this with you, Grayson. Igor by Tyler the Creator,
Yes.
which is like very noticeably a pop, like synth pop, R&B album.
Yeah, for sure.
Was nominated for and won best rap album of the year.
It's not
Interesting,
rap.
yeah.
You know, rap elements, but like
It has like very loose rap elements. Yes, it sort of just like makes you wonder why this album was nominated for best rap album.
Mhm.
I can think of one reason.
I can think of it.
Yeah, I think we all could. I know that you were talking about what was it, the Billie Eilish album and such. What were you saying about that again?
Oh yeah. So like a lot of Billie Eilish, fans are saying that it should have won over Beyonce because of the streams, and I just generally think that's just such a weird way to look at awarding art.
Yeah.
Again, it would literally just be Taylor Swift and like fucking Drake winning everything if that.
Yeah,
was the
exactly.
case.
I think I've had enough Taylor Swift.
That's not even me like discrediting like Drake or Taylor Swift. I'll admit they have good songs. I listen to Taylor Swift or Drake every now and then. I do. Do I think that they like have better art than like what is typically nominated? No.
Yeah, exactly.
I just can't with Taylor Swift. I'm sorry, Jaren. Sorry.
Huh? What? Wait. Hold on. Why are you saying sorry to me?
We all know that Jaren is the #1 Swiftie.
Oh, a Swiftie.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say I'll be my white girl era every now and then, playing in the car.
Yeah. Continue.
Oh, but yeah, I can't with that. I've heard, especially with Drake, I've heard so much about what has gone on with Drake that, like, I think the only amount of Drake that I'm going to be able to get into is the stuff that, like, is directly collaborating with Kendrick. And that'll just be doing more research on Kendrick. So, for example, some of what Drake hit Kendrick back with in attempt to win like that battle. His version of the Heart Part 5.
Well, I mean, I'm going to push back though because I mean, a thing that I do is like with musicians I don't like I'll still listen to their music and just understand what the other person's trying to get at. I am famously one of the biggest Eminem haters of all time. So like,
No, I'm just kidding.
so like I've listened to his music. I try and give it a chance to like generally know what the talking points from like Eminem fans are going to be. And I've done that with Drake too, and I'm going to be completely honest. Drake has had good albums. Take Care. Nothing Was the Same, and If You're Reading This Is Too Late. We're like pretty good rap albums. I'm not gonna fight against that. Do I think that they're on the level of 2014 Forest Hills Drive or like anything of that sort? I mean, I don't think so necessarily. Yeezus or like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I don't think so. But like I'm not gonna like say that it's like immediately like mediocre or like worth not listening to.
You know what? Fair enough. You got a good point there. That kind of reminds me, like, I definitely have some artists like that. Chris, I was telling you a while back while we were leaving dining, I was telling you about Pantera, like the band Pantera. I feel I have complicated feelings towards Pantera because they're a good band. They make good music. And I think the best way to, like, illustrate that in a short manner is by describing 3 of their songs. There is Respect Walk, Cemetery Gates, and I'm trying to think. Cowboys from Hell.
Yeah.
Now, Cemetery Gates is just a good song. I listen to it, it's like, red rum, is this a conspiracy? I fucking love that song. Like, it's just a good song. And then you have Respect Walk that I just don't listen to. Because as it turns out, now it's been a while since I checked up on this, but at least one of, if not multiple of the band members are confirmed Nazis. Like, they will, if you walk up to them and ask them if they are a Nazi, they will tell you to your face, I am a Nazi and I'm a proud Nazi. Please do not take that audio out of context, anybody. Looking at y'all. But, so, and then when you listen to Respect Walk, you start to hear a lot of fascistic undertones. And so I just can't listen to that song because I don't like it. And then you have Cowboys from Hell. And Cowboys from Hell is a song about bad guys. So there's bad stuff in it, but it's about bad guys. So that's kind of my middle range.
Yeah.
But beyond those three, I've decided not to peer any further into Pantera because I don't want to end up liking too much of Pantera because I don't really fuck with them as people.
It reminds me of a certain Kanye Omori West.
Yep, I thought that was a great transition. Right into the.
But
recent
I
stuff.
think Kanye is such an enigma unto himself that we have to have an entire podcast episode dedicated to the rise and fall.
Yeah, we definitely should. He needs to be studied, bro.
Yes.
Like that entire.
Should we talk briefly about like his tweets lately?
I feel like we should just bundle everything up into one episode.
Yeah, we have to contain. It's like containment in like the Cold War. We have to do this with Kanye West, bro.
He needs his own documentary at this point.
Coming up soon. But yeah, back to the Grammys. I was wanting to give you guys like a short list of like artists that have never won a Grammy. Tupac never won a Grammy, of course. Prince never won a Grammy.
What the f***?
I'm pretty sure he never won a Grammy.
How the fuck did Prince never win a Grammy? It's Prince.
That's what you would think, right?
Jaren has a Prince cert.
Jimi Hendrix, Bjork. I love Bjork. Deanna Ross. I don't know if you guys ever listened to Deanna Ross. She's one of my favorite R&B soul singers.
I've heard of the. Oh wait, what did she? Never mind.
She presented the Song of the Year award at the Grammys.
That's yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Chuck Berry, Janis Joplin, Busta Rhymes, Journey, ABBA, just like Queen. Like
Journey,
these are.
Queen?
Oh.
Okay, Queen kind of pisses me off because Queen is so huge in like the gay rights conversation and like the AIDS crisis. Like,
yeah,
that alone.
Yeah, I'm just listing off artists regardless. Like these are like some like very like critically acclaimed musicians regardless. Snoop Dogg. These people should have like, and again, this isn't even Grammy wins. This is nominations. They've never been nominated for a category.
Yeah,
that's where it gets
see. I thought you were talking about wins, but nominations is a whole different thing. I feel like there was definitely some stuff going down at the Grammys.
See, I feel
around those times.
Some of those don't surprise me, especially Hendrix and Joplin, because those were fairly anti-establishment, breaking from the fold sort of artists of their time. And then thinking further about Queen has gay members of its band. And so it does not surprise me in the slightest that they'd face prejudice for that.
Yeah. Let me just make sure. Maybe Prince did win a Grammy. Regardless.
Let's fact check that.
Let's
fact check. He did. That was surprising.
Okay.
I'd only thought he didn't because Prince is like fairly anti-establishment, and from what I'm seeing here. Oh, okay. Sign of the Times didn't win a Grammy. Okay. Purple Rain did, though. Regardless, yeah, that's still so surprising, all the other artists. I would have figured that Tupac or Diana Ross or, like, Jimi Hendrix would have won at least a nom. And they probably did. But, like, regardless, no wins is crazy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, on to the next, like, music news. As of recent, we've been on the Grammys for a good minute. The Super Bowl...
Super Bowl halftime.
We're going to be watching it later tonight. Oh, the three of us, maybe four. If you are a sound man, Henry will.
Chris was talking to the sound guy, by the way.
Yeah. He might be watching this Super Bowl with us. But so yeah, Kendrick Lamar is going to be performing, of course. The Chiefs versus the Eagles. I don't know about you guys, but I want the Eagles to win.
Yeah,
I don't
for
know.
Eagles too.
I
Please don't tell me you're a Chiefs fan.
No,
Please.
I want the Eagles to win, but purely just because I remember from an earlier Super Bowl that I was also rooting for the Eagles because weren't they fighting the Patriots at one point?
I could not remember.
You see, like I'm gonna be completely honest. The only reason why I ever care about the Super Bowl is because of the discourse that surrounds it and because of the halftime show.
Same here.
Yeah.
I want the Eagles to win just because fuck the Chiefs, I guess. I really am just there for Kendrick.
Kendrick too, but like I was thinking more political discourse because this is what happens most Grammys. I mean, not, Grammys too, but most Super Bowls. I mean, most of the time, like a crisis unfolds while the Super Bowl goes on, and like it's sort of like almost like a distraction for like most Americans. So like we sort of just ignore like, what else is going on in the world. The past few Super Bowls, there's been like unfolding crisis in Israel and Palestine. For example, I think it was last year or the year before, the city of Rafah. Everybody had been evacuated there. It's supposed to be the safe zone. Then, this completely airstrike right after. So that happened. And there was a Super Bowl going on. I can't remember if it was Rihanna or Usher performing. But regardless, most of the entire American populace completely just didn't know what was going on.
Because they
they were watching the Super Bowl. And I just find that to be very predatory.
That's fucked up.
I'm sort of like in a weird space because Kendrick Lamar is my favorite musician of all time. I understand what you're doing right now because, it sort of like fuels the fire for like the beef he had with Drake last year. But I mean, you're still like contributing to like the system here, if you get what I'm saying.
Do you think he would say something?
I don't know.
This is the thing. Kendrick Lamar in particular, he loves his secrecy. Like he went on like a 5-year hiatus after his 2017 album Damn, and nobody knew where bro was at. A lot of people were like giving the ick because he had been like one of the biggest activists during the Trayvon Martin killing.
That makes me feel old. I remember I was a wee lad when I saw about that.
Everybody was sort of like, during the George Floyd murder, everybody was like, we low-key need you right now. You helped us through the first one. Where are you at?
Yeah.
Sort of stuff. He had been absent from like social media, from everything. All we know is that he did, attend, rallies and protests, of course. I can, of course, respect that because, it's Kendrick Lamar. He doesn't really like performative activism. He has an entire song off of his like new album dedicated to turning your TV off and not getting outside and doing the work.
Yeah.
That like radio silence, I suppose, during like the Black Lives Matter movement, during the 2020s, early 2020s. I mean, it sort of just makes me wonder because Kendrick Lamar hasn't really spoken anything about Israel and Palestine. I'm gonna be honest, he's fairly problematic when it comes to that entire like topic. On his 2017 album Damn, he considered himself to be a Hebrew Israelite.
Interesting.
Which is why I always say that you should always criticize the people that you idolize and whatnot. So it sort of just it makes me wonder, I hope this isn't like anything malicious. I hope it's just for, the beef and not anything, political.
For the halftime show?
For the halftime show, yes.
Yeah, I think, I'm not going to say it's died down at all. I know it's still like prevalent, but I don't know. I think if it were to be same time last year, probably more people would be talking about it and be wondering.
Let's reapproach what you said there a second ago about him considering himself a Hebrew Israelite. Let's break that down. What does that mean?
So like, it's weird. Hebrew Israelites, they're like a group of people. They like mostly reside in like big cities. They're like mostly black groups of like. People who, of course, think that they are the true inhabitants of Israel and whatnot, the true children and whatnot. On Kendrick Lamar's song "Fear" and what is it? I think it's "Lust" off of "Damn." He sort of like goes into it. It's just very Zionist in its nature, very predatory. I find, and it's just very problematic overall.
I mean, me personally, I've always really just been icked out by the idea of, believe what you believe. I just think things become a problem when you think you deserve things more than other people. Because when you think you deserve things more than other people, you start to think of other people as not people and more like obstacles between you and the things you want and you supposedly deserve over them. So that, I mean, that whole chosen people bullshit, in my opinion, is just hungry.
Yeah.
It's hungry.
Yeah. A lot of people have also been talking about, because Donald Trump is famously going to be attending the Super Bowl. He's going to be the first
Yeah.
president to do so. And
Oh.
Kendrick has had very outspoken criticism of Donald Trump very regularly across all of his music. So the question is if he's going to speak out against him during
okay.
the Super Bowl. Colin Kaepernick style, even Eminem during that 2022 Super Bowl show, if you remember, with all of the West Coast artists.
I think so.
Even he kneeled down for the national anthem.
Yeah.
I think I'm remembering.
Come on, Kendrick. Let's get controversial. Come on.
You see, that's what I want. I either want that or ideally, and more importantly, I would like for something to be spoken out about Israel and Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
I know that that's sort of almost parasocial in a sense, and I shouldn't be expecting that of somebody, especially as famous as he. He even has an entire album dedicated to those expectations and how he fucking hates people thinking that he's their savior.
Yeah.
To Pimp a Butterfly is one of the most politically poignant albums of the past few decades. It's up there with Toxicity by System of a Down in terms of how political it is in nature. I just think that you should stick with that format that you've laid for yourself in your career.
I need to study the System of a Down lyrics more closely because I've been a System of a Down fan since the end of high school, and I've always loved them. But it's been a minute since I gave them a listen.
Yeah,
and I know they're damned political.
Yeah.
I'm kind of mixed on that one thing though about what was it you called it?
Apologies?
That idea of having those social expectations on people who are famous.
When Kendrick came back from his hiatus in 2022, and I think we might wrap up the Super Bowl section and go on to U.S. politics in a second, but he released an album called Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. It was sort of a very therapy heavy album. He gets really vulnerable. He talks about his mistakes and whatnot. Then he sort of just tries to tell everybody that he is not, he is not a savior. He is just human. He of course he lives life like we do. That's what he had been doing during the years that he had been missing. Everybody shouldn't be expecting him to be so outspoken about everything and whatnot.
I guess what makes me feel complicated on that is having a right to privacy and living your own life is one thing, and that's everyone's right. My thing though is when you get as successful as someone like Kendrick, you also have power.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say it's pretty fair to assume Kendrick has a fair bit of social power.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's gonna sound corny as fuck, but power, responsibility. He can do things with that power, and our country is very divided right now. Our country is very hurt. We have a lot of people hurting each other. Our country is hurting us, poisoning us, and I just think that someone with power like Kendrick's, especially during something as broadcasted as a Super Bowl, would cut through all of that bullshit that they are feeding us every single day so we're at each other's throats instead of the government's.
Yeah.
I think I think it's important. Now, do we need someone to do that for us? Not necessarily, but I also don't exactly see people around me doing enough every day as it is. I mean, I see people around me acting like nothing crazy's happening right now, acting like they're going to have some kind of roof over their head in the next couple of years, or that's a guarantee. I will say, if I were in Kendrick's position, if I had that kind of power, who knows? Maybe I would be just as skittish around the idea of something like that.
Yeah.
But like me right now, if I were given that power, I feel like I would at least try to say something.
And I feel like that's like a really good transition into like the politics section here.
And I know not to real quick. I remember when we were at the Grammys and like Chappell went on stage. Yeah, I saw you on the edge of your seat, just like trying to get her to listen to the demons. Like, say something about Palestine. Say something about Palestine.
Well,
Like,
because like I mean, like Chappell Roan has like been very vocal about it.
yeah,
Like everybody's complaining about Chappell Roan on Twitter like nearly every week. I'm sure you know a little bit about that.
That's a good sign.
Jaren.
Yeah, that probably is a good sign. Thinking about like the complete overrun of Twitter, it's mainly just conservatives and porn basically. There's not much else to it now. It's kind of been thrown into the dirt.
I like how we went from Chappell Roan to Twitter trolls, and I feel like that's an
Yeah.
amazing transition.
Yes,
to
Chris.
the current leader of the Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk.
Yes.
I wasn't sure whether he'd actually been appointed to a commission or if he was just still dick riding.
So this is how it works. The government, the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. I hate it. Okay, its entire
scam.
It's a scam. Its entire purpose is to like root out government bureaucracy and cut it down as much as possible, which I find that to be bullshit and sort of just like a shitty way of going about running a government. We need bureaucracy to run. Like the U.S. Post Office, Amtrak, these are like some of the closest agencies that like affect the way we live. Like if we didn't have the U.S. Postal Service, I mean, we're fucked.
Explain bureaucracy real quick.
So like all like the agencies. There's like the Department of Education, Department of the Interior, Department of Energy.
The FAA.
No. So then all of those agencies, there exist, other like sub-agencies such as the Department of, Housing and Urban Development, for example. Of course, HUD has like, Section 8 housing, for example, and whatnot. Basically, like conservatives, and more specifically in this case, Elon Musk, they hate that shit. Like, they hate, government overreach, especially when, government overreach in this sense is required for like, basic good living standards for
like basic
homeless
needs
people.
for people who need it.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what the entire Department of Government Efficiency is trying to do, and there's been a lot of like outrage about it amongst the populace. And I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if this was what the court case was over. There was a recent court case saying that there's only so much reach that Doge has, because Doge has really been like kicking it into high gear with what they have. They're not an actual government agency. I don't know if I ever said this yet. They're branded as one, but like technically they're just a commission that was made by President Trump to be an advisory committee.
Oh, okay. So it's like an unofficial it's cabinet.
It's an unofficial cabinet position,
Yeah.
and the reason why it's unofficial like that is because like Donald Trump knew that he couldn't get that through Congress.
Yeah.
Because you require congressional approval to make a new agency like that.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing is that like Doge has really been, they're now like going in like records from the Department of the Treasury.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about.
And like
that's what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah, and other stuff like that, and that's like that's government overreach in an agency that tries to get down on government overreach. That's like so ironic and insane in my opinion.
What is the status on that? Because I know that it was taken to courts. They were basically saying you're not doing that shit.
So this is where it gets fucking insane. Okay. So it goes to the courts. Elon Musk says that the courts don't have the power to do this.
That's
Interesting.
bullshit.
That is bullshit. And the thing is that J.D. Vance said the same thing. The vice president, of course. If you guys don't understand how fucking sociopathic that is, like that's literally just one step closer to fascism. The courts act like a check on the executive branch.
Yeah.
And like J.D. Vance himself said that the courts should not be able to have this much say over executive control or power or something like that.
But,
Yeah,
and that's just fascism.
And that's just fascism.
And I heard that like Donald Trump's strategy, or his advisors at least, was basically trying to align the checks and balances directly under the executive branch.
That's exactly what Project 2025 is.
Yeah.
So like Project 2025 pretty much like takes the political and executive strategy of George W. Bush during the 2000s and sort of tries to apply it to Donald Trump because like there was a lot of like executive power under Bush because of the Iraq War, war in Afghanistan, everything of the sort. So like Project 2025 pretty much just tries to say that like Donald Trump, we should like use as much constitutional power as we can loophole to get Donald Trump to have as much power as he can.
And that's what I've been seeing a lot of, is just them really saying what isn't specifically said in the Constitution. So just looking for any possible loopholes to
I think I told you guys about this, but like, of course I'm a political science major. So I took a law class last semester. It was over the judicial process, everything in between. There was a lot of like basic, law, like basis and like, terms and whatnot that we had to know and learn. There was at one point we were talking about, how like, Congress, or I believe typically has to approve cabinet positions, I think. Mm-hmm, and Donald Trump was wanting to just do it all via recess appointment. That's literally just fascism. And like because
what does recess appointment mean?
I'm pretty sure it's been a minute since that class, low key. Recess appointment is like the president can like say that like they can pretty much say that Congress is closed for the time being.
Oh, okay.
And because Congress is not currently open, they're closed right now. I can make all the appointments. It's like an emergency appointment almost.
Well, it's emergency superpowers almost.
Yes. That's a lot of what Project 2025 is, trying to say that like there's huge emergencies going on right now that Donald Trump needs to have authority over to completely fix.
Okay.
Such as immigration, the economy, Israel and Palestine. For some reason, people think that he's going to fix that.
Yeah. Fix in quotation.
Fix in quotation marks. Continue, Grayson.
Couple things here. One, first of all, it's kind of funny. I've always thought it was funny how, like, because it sounds to me like he's trying to run our country, quote unquote, like a business. And that's one of his supporters' biggest talking points, even though they don't really believe or care about that. It's just, something they're using to mask their blatant racism and fascism and all the other bad stuff. But, it's what they say, he's going to run it like a business. And then, first of all, he cannot run a business. And second of all, how is a business typically run? It's not a democracy. It is run by typically a board of CEOs, which also typically have one person at the top. And what else is run like that? Monarchies, dictatorships, oligarchies.
That is true.
And right now, we have a good amount of CEOs swaying our our government.
The word.
You see, that is an amazing segue, because like not only did Trump go bankrupt like 3 times, he filed for bankruptcy 3 times, so he's not a good businessman. But like also like people try and say that like, oh, he would never actually follow through with Project 2025. So guess who is the current head of the Office of Management and Budget?
Management and budget? Oh, shoot. Okay.
One of the lead authors of Project 2025, Russ Vaught, or Vo.
Yeah. I did see
is.
that. Did you see, because I know there was two people from a news network that basically disguised themselves as like, oh my gosh, you may know more about this than me, but it was like 2 people from a news network that disguised themselves as like, people that were like donating a lot to the fund for Project 2025, or like one of the things that supported it.
Yeah.
And he like disclosed a bunch of stuff about it, and that's what started the entire like news look on Project 2025.
Like it's just crazy that you can deny like being someone that's actually going to follow through on this, and then have one of the lead authors of it be like one of the biggest faces in like the entire government in terms of like the economic sector, which like a big part of Project 2025 is like privatization.
What's this You said what's his name again?
Russ Val or Vo.
Rush.
I don't know how it's pronounced. I don't care how it's pronounced. Quite
Uh,
frankly.
Okay, we'll call him Russie Boy for a minute here. Russie Boy. What's Russie Boy's career look like here? What's he done?
If I'm not mistaken, like he's just like general like fucking like Republican demon.
I see. I
Um,
see.
Like I'm looking like through like a self-described Christian nationalist, everything of the sort, Heritage Foundation.
No, yeah.
So like, I mean,
I think that's what it was that these two news people, they were like basically disguising themselves as people that were going to donate a bunch to the Heritage Foundation.
Did they take the money back?
that I don't entirely know for sure, but yeah, that just pisses me off. And going back to what you said, Jaren, about how there are so many like rich assholes in charge of our government right now.
We saw like the whole Suicide Squad lineup of CEOs at the inauguration. I thought that was something else, dude.
Oh, I mean, like not only that, but I mean, like also we have Elon Musk, of course.
Yeah.
But guess who the current Secretary of the Treasury is? Another CEO, bro.
How many?
This time.
What is his name? Let me see.
Like, as in recently appointed, or
Scott Bessent, I think his name is. He was. I don't know if he's been sworn in yet. But,
okay, so he's about to be.
Yeah. Oh, he has been sworn in.
Just to pull aside real quick, how many of these people are either being accused of or being investigated for sexual assault against both people of age and minors?
I'm pretty sure the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah, he was also a former Fox News host.
And I know they were trying to get
Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, Matt Gaetz.
Matt Gaetz.
I will never forget the clip of Tucker Carlson saying, I just remember him saying 17-year-old girl, and then Matt Gaetz was on the interview with him and he just said 17-year-old woman. And then it was just like,
seen this.
It was dead silence. It was dead silence after that. Like, he made Tucker Carlson question what he was saying.
It's like the Kanye and it's like the Kanye and Alex Jones interview. All right.
See, making Tucker Carlson like pause is like comedy gold. I swear to fucking God.
Yeah, you got to get some kind of achievement for that.
Yeah, bro. You got like
Xbox achievement.
But yeah, so like I just find it to be crazy that we have all these CEOs, but don't worry guys, the economy is going to get fixed. It is, okay?
What the fuck does that mean?
And I just find that to be very crazy because not only is the 1%, in government right now, I thought even lobbying was bad. This is fucking worse, bro. But like
lobbying's like the start of the infection. This is like the pulsating tumor that's leaking everywhere.
Yes. And like I just find it to be crazy because how do you expect to fix the economy? Expect everybody to think that you're fixing the economy when you're putting 25% tariffs on our closest allies.
And look what's happening. They're all telling us to go fuck ourselves because we're lowball. We're doing the equivalent of like beyond lowballing everyone. We are punishing the people we are supposed to have good relationships with, and big fucking surprise, they are punishing us back. Do we have any? Do we have a shorthand list, perhaps, of all the countries that are just unanimously telling us to fuck off with these tariffs?
Well, as of right now, the big three is Canada, Mexico, and China.
Would you be able to talk a little bit? Because I know they had some kind of deal where Trump agreed to delay the tariffs in order for Mexico to pull out their National Guard.
Yeah, so like it's weird. They've been getting delayed. Some of them haven't. Most of them started February 1st. But like they've been getting decreased. A lot of them have. I believe Canada has. I don't know if Mexico has, but like this has been happening. There's also the tariff on China. But a good thing to understand about tariffs, as I hope you guys know by now, is that it's a tax on imported goods, not exported goods. So that's taxes that businesses like Walmart have to pay. But Walmart is going
Exactly.
to foot the bill for that. They're going to make us foot the bill through the products that we have to buy off
Exactly.
them.
And I've been thinking about the logic too. Like, I've seen people explain it in so many ways, but basically, any kind of tax or anything that obviously goes into cost of production, or
Yeah.
any associated costs, that's going to go straight to the consumer, because they still have to get a profit,
Yeah.
whatever
this is-
profit that they do want.
And this is more of that consumer targeting, like targeted, quote unquote problem solving. We see this with ecology as well. Take recycling as a system, for example. We could have companies stop, using millions and millions and millions of plastic jugs and plastic bottles and very unnecessary plastic products, but instead, the company starts a marketing campaign that puts it on the consumer to quote unquote use their products responsibly and to rinse them out and to put them in recycling. It's the same old shit. And with this, what you just described, this isn't solving the problem. This is at us expecting them to solve the problem, putting them in charge, and then them being like, all right, and then turning around and like shooting us in the fucking kneecap. Like, that is basically what you just described to me.
Yes.
I feel like some people, for some reason they're expecting that these companies are just going to decrease their profits and take the tax. Like I want to see someone try to argue with me and prove that there's some way that they would do that.
Yes, like a lot of people are having they're having too much faith in like the nature of corporations.
Yeah.
And like that's sort of just like my entire like beef with the entire idea of libertarianism, but that's an entirely different topic for another episode. But like
them libertarians.
like, have you guys been seeing that like there's already been stickers that have been printed out? You know how like during the Biden administration, like people would like slap those stickers on the like gas tanks with like
Yeah.
I did this.
I think I think I
They've
know what
already
you're
been
saying.
doing that with Trump, and like I've been seeing that like because like I don't know if you guys have been seeing this, but egg prices have been skyrocketing.
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
God.
Oh,
God
I do
forbid
know.
a man go and get some
I'm not
eggs.
gonna attribute it to something else, but wasn't there some kind of like a bird thing?
Yeah,
or
there was
something
also
that
like
going around?
bird flu. I think it was. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
So I think it might be the combination of the two, but I did see recently like that a bunch of stores they were like literally limiting how much you could buy,
Yeah.
and that doesn't mean that it's gonna still be cheap. Like it's still like $7 a carton, and you still have a limit. as to
I
how
don't know
much
if you
can
guys
buy.
know the entire list of what's like what is at stake here of like inflation.
It's giving COVID. It's giving COVID and toilet paper and like basic supplies.
Fair, but like so on the list we have dairy, of course, dairy products, milk, eggs, everything of the sort. We have gas, of course. We
Yep.
have cars and auto parts. Just earlier today, for example, there was a 25% tariff placed on all steel and aluminum,
Oh, that's fun.
which is just like so like unbelievably dumb, in my opinion, because
Do they expect Pittsburgh to become like not
like yeah, Milwaukee is screwed, bro. Because like all of this steel and aluminum, I would imagine that like Elon Musk typically likes to collect and buy for like SpaceX and whatnot.
Yeah.
So does that mean that like this is just like a co-op almost to like get fucking even more government subsidies for SpaceX? Is that what this is? Like that this is low key what it's like feeling like.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just so fucking weird.
Here's another weird thought. Like, this may be a little bit extreme, but like, if you're thinking of it, if they were to impose these kind of tariffs, it kind of like goes back to the corporations to see, well, who's the biggest buyer that would be able to deal with the tariffs and therefore have the most power in
Yeah.
terms of getting the product overseas.
Oh shit, that reminds me of something. Oh my god, this is extremely relevant. We were having a conversation like this a while back, I think. Because what isn't? Oh god, wasn't Trump taking something and just seeing who would buy it? What?
You got me
Oh,
thinking
is that
of
about
TikTok?
like masks?
Yes,
Oh,
TikTok.
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 Please,
Yes,
thank
we were talking about TikTok a while back, and that's basically what they're fucking doing with TikTok because they're banning TikTok unless a white people American company buys it. That's a very funny, specific thing they put on there.
I do have a good update about that, though, guys. Elon Musk is reportedly not interested in buying it anymore.
Thank fuck.
So at least we're gonna have
Well, yeah.
we're gonna have a less Nazi.
I could see after the
Billion.
the recent profit margins of X, I'm sure he doesn't want to go into that again.
His investors may very well have held him at gunpoint on that one as well.
Yeah.
He's still a mortal man. We can't forget this.
Yeah. Going on to more like social issues that have been unfolding as of recent. There's been, of course, the recent ban on transgender people enlisting in the army and transgender people using the bathroom of their preferred gender. There's also on most of the State Department website, the TQIA plus is taken out of LGBT. So like trans people, queer people, intersex people, asexual people, everything of the sort is sort of just told to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, they just kind of cut it in half.
Like even when I was like filing for my passport, like I saw like a couple months ago, I was like, oh my god, they do have LGBTQIA plus now. But like now, if I was to look at it like right now, I would see like fuck, it's just LGB. Like we're really living in like the darkest time.
Yeah, I really should have checked that because I put in an application for my passport like a few days ago. I should have checked. It probably is just male or female now. I'm not sure.
I have a fair bit to say on this. First of all, some of this shit is just infeasible, and they're just writing it to make a point, writing it as a dog whistle to make sure there are more gay people getting beat in the streets than we're seeing right now. Because how the fuck do you enforce people going into bathrooms? How the fuck do you enforce things like what some states are trying to do, where like some of these states are just going insane? Like, for example, in Tennessee, they're trying to ban members voting on anything that goes against Donald Trump's policies. That's
in regards to like immigration and sanctuary cities, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
That is a direct fucking like that's anti-democracy, like in its entirety. But like there's also things like in other states where they're trying to ban masturbation. How the fuck do you enforce that? Are you going to stick a camera up my ass? Like,
I will say, like, it's kind of ironic that they're against like all the bureaucracy and government overreaching and such. They hate when like it would to be overreaching and providing resources for people, but they're fine with it limiting almost like a lot of things that we could usually do,
like abortion. Like, also, can I go back to Tennessee? I love hating on Tennessee. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Tennessee, in my opinion, is a top 3 worst state. Everybody talks about Florida. Everybody talks about Ohio. But everybody forgets about fucking Tennessee, bro. I despise Tennessee.
I've always been told to avoid Texas at all costs. I don't know.
I am much better with Texas than I am Tennessee or any of the other two. Okay, their hatred for like evolution, their hatred for just like queer people and everything else of the sort in like school curriculums.
Even worse than Alabama.
I would say it's pretty bad. Probably low key.
Okay. I was just gonna say, like, I know Trump recently made some claim about what was it? It was basically like our education's like standpoint globally compared to other countries. He made some false claim, but I cannot remember what it was.
It's probably like the same old fucking shtick of like, oh, we're on top of the world now. This is like the golden era. I mean, that's what was like in his like a victory speech after the election.
It's giving Matt Bevin a couple of years, like,
oh, Matt Bevin.
Man, fuck Matt Bevin. He was trying so hard to shaft our educators just in general with everything he did. When the teachers were, like, protesting and, like, going on strike and shit, he tried to claim that, like, because kids weren't going to school, that they were all getting beaten and abused, which that's like, okay, if you want to just piss off every single parent that is your voting base, go right ahead, you dumbass. But that's what that kind of reminds me of. And then back on, like, the whole transgender thing, like, the whole anti-trans policies and shit. It pisses me off.
Well, I mean, have you seen how, like, extreme some of these, like, Republican lawmakers have been getting as of recent?
These are the people that want to put windows in bathrooms.
Well, I mean, there's been, like, lawmakers who have been saying that, like, they want to start doing, like, genital checks.
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
People in, like, schools.
That's sexual assault.
That is like, I mean, that's not even just sexual assault. That's like near fucking like rape, bro.
Wait.
That is rape.
Hold on. Run it back. I must have lost the topic there. What'd you say?
Genital checks.
Oh.
There have been Republican lawmakers and state legislatures. I'm pretty sure Tennessee was one of the examples.
That is systematic rape on a fucking, like, I'm talking like Catholic church level.
Yeah. That's pretty
Like,
close to it.
They want to make a part 2 apparently.
Yeah.
And this is already happening at airports. People who are trans get patted down more at airports. And this is more than they get strip searched and touched at airports.
Yeah.
When they're trying to just get to where they need to be going, because they are not allowed to be a human being. And my friend who is trans, one of the closest friends in my life, has been trying their damnedest to get a top surgery they've needed. And now with this shit happening, watching them have to face everything they're probably going to have to fight. Now, luckily, they're ending up just having to, like, pay for it out of pocket. And a top surgery isn't as expensive, but, like,
Yeah.
They might not be able to get, like, testosterone soon with the way this shit's going. Hell, they might not be able to get their insulin soon because they're diabetic, too.
Yeah. It's just, it's very sad, and I can only hope that, in 2026, 2028, there's some, like, change made, I guess, in, like, the congressional level. We get progressives in power. I doubt it. But regardless, that entire, like, topic of progressivism and sort of, like, the critique of the Democratic Party, I think would be an excellent thing to talk about next week, along with talking about certain foreign policy issues like Guantanamo Bay, Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
But
and back to the Super Bowl, we could talk about our impressions of it next week as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Unfortunately, we are out of time, guys. So that's going to be the end of the episode here. Thank you for watching the Crash Out, your favorite place for music, politics, pop culture, and everything in between. This is Chris speaking.
This is Grayson signing off.
Jaren signing off. See y'all next time.
See ya.